happening? What's up, fat boy? What's up? Yeah? Oh, Lord, he tripped. How are you, monkey? Miss your bed? You got off of it, so the cat got it now. Can't fix that. Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's an After Dark tonight of Houston with Problem. So, Sunday was a complete nothing burger. All it happened to be was Pulte and Ryan Cohen getting super stoked to go to the Madison Square Garden rally where a bunch of racist stuff was said. So, cool, guys. Although this morning, GME had a weird pop a little bit after open, which kind of screwed me because I had set an order for a whole bunch of $21 calls at 35 cents. And it got down to 36 cents and then woo, rocketed, and I missed out. I would have like 6 or 7 extra my money like that. So, oops. Will it keep going? I don't know. A whole bunch of in the money calls were purchased for December, and that might, weird things are happening. I'm not quite sure what's in store for the week. Is there going to be a merger announcement? We thought maybe Sunday. We thought maybe after hours today. Maybe tomorrow before open. We have no idea. I personally, I would really like to just get paid so I don't have to put up with the bullshit anymore. It's only so long you can keep stringing people along and not make a move, right? 3 years from now, we're like, oh, tomorrow's gonna be the day. Just make it happen, dude. Seriously, we fought World War II and won in less time than it took for GME to do the turnaround and do a merger. Come on. We managed to mobilize 20 million people, build thousands of battleships in that amount of time. What's the holdup? Come on, let's do this. So, here we are, sitting, waiting, twiddling thumbs, stroking chins, beating off every minute we have. There's just nothing, just something. Give us something. Something. Or morsels or something. Because here we sit, just waiting. Anything else I'm going to add? The Trump rally had the famous one was that comic who absolutely called Puerto Ricans garbage people. And that has pissed off millions of Puerto Ricans who live in Florida, Georgia, Pennsylvania, these battleground states that can swing the tide. And, early voting has been huge. There's been something like 90 million people have already cast ballots in early voting. We have some incidences happening. Last week was a ballot drop box getting lit on fire in Arizona. Today it was one in Portland and one across the river in Vancouver, Washington. You do not want to be the person who gets arrested for lighting some ballots on fire. You will never see daylight ever again. USPS's investigators are involved. You will be convicted. You will be sentenced and made an example of for the rest of the country, and you will never see daylight again. That's you'd have a better chance at being released if you diddled children in front of the president. There's just no way they're going to let somebody in a situation like this get away with it. I don't know how dumb you got to be. Of that Wall Street Silver guy, I don't know if you guys know about Wall Street Silver, dude. He goes by Miller, but really he's a Polish guy, and he lots of felonies. He worked for a company here based on Bainbridge, actually, called Avalara, tax software company that then moved to Seattle when they grew too big. And he was a sales dude or something for them. And he started stalking clients and vandalizing their homes. He started stalking his coworkers and vandalizing their homes. And basically telling the executives, hey, I won't stop this unless you pay me a giant severance to go away. And they're like, how about we just call the police and have you arrested? So they did. So he got charged with extortion, vandalism, stalking, all sorts of things. Went to jail for a while. And apparently he had done it at a job in Boston. And then he moved to Florida, where he went to prison again for beating up his entire family. And now he runs the pro-Russian Wall Street silver account. And he told everyone to burn ballot boxes, drown them in gasoline, soak them, ruin the ballots in the ballot boxes. And so I wouldn't doubt if he might be getting a visit from the FBI in this, considering that he's already a multi-convicted felon, telling people to convict felonies, doing stochastic terrorism. Like, you tell somebody to go commit a crime, and then they go commit that crime. It's just as bad as you doing the crime yourself. So, there's a little nugget. You're gonna try to show off my show again, aren't you? I know what you have in you. So instead, we're just gonna do this. I'm gonna hold you like a little baby. That's where you're gonna stay. Here's your little baby. Okay. So, after dark.
Houston, we have a problem.
Okay. I have a little baby. I have a little baby. Yes. Okay. To the chat. Oh, I gotta put this in live chat. I did not do that yet. Put you in live chat. And you already in live chat? What are you doing? What is that all about? You trying to get this? Right there? All right. Colin was first. Good job, Colin. Zuma got to do with the nub. Sleeping. Oh, well. Gotta read. Thirdsky. Daniel Motes. Do I play GME puts tomorrow or weekly calls? Decisions. My original plan was I was going to pick up the 21s. I had a feeling I was going to go over 21. And then I was going to buy puts at 21.5. And then I thought I was going to settle back down again. That was my feeling. I probably should have turned around about 21.5s before close, but I was so flabbergasted at missing my buy at 35 cents that I didn't recover. You know how it is. Yeah, you know how it is. Kelly Reed, happy birthday, HW. Anyone saw the No Lab shareholder meeting? What was said? They basically talked about their joint venture partnership, because apparently there's a federal law that says all new cars starting in 2026 must have some sort of device to prevent drunk driving from happening. So they're going to be partnering with a company, putting their radio transmitter inside the steering wheels of cars so that you cannot be holding onto that steering wheel and have blood alcohol in your system. So it won't work. Your car won't work. So who knows if there's going to be workarounds for people or what, but hey, something, get a guaranteed contract at hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars a car for millions of cars that get sold every year, right? So that's what we got. This little thing is such an adorable little mop. Corey Chandler, S2A for IB. Court case tomorrow for BBY docket 3674. Also cat day. A cat day is tomorrow. It's your day tomorrow, you little weirdo. It's your first cat day because you're only like 2 months old. 3 months old? How are you now? 3 months? Yeah, 3 months because you're born in July. We think. Yeah. Okay, you go over here with the fat boy. Just throw it over there. Aaron Heiss, 8 days until political ads magically disappear and get replaced by drug ads. We outlawed cigarette ads. Why can't we do the same with political and prescription drugs? Let's see unsafe toys on TV again. They used to be illegal for drug ads to be on TV and for liquor ads as well. There used to be no drug ads on television in the United States until 2000, 2001. It's fairly recently when drug ads started popping up on TV. I'm all for no drug ads. You don't need them. If there's a drug you need to hear about, there's going to be a doctor who will tell you about it, right? Like, I've got restless legs, right? they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I got a restless leg syndrome drug right here for you. There's no reason for us to have drug ads on TV. Hot Pocket Rebel. Well, I finally filed my taxes and took a huge capital loss because of my Bed Bath shares loss. Oh, did you finally admit it? That's okay, because you're going to get it all back. I think you're going to get it all back. I'm your friend, Allah from Wahoo. Hello. Gemini, Houston. Did you see the claim that the Washington Post lost 200,000 paying subscribers for not backing Harris? Is it normal for papers to back candidates at all? I thought they were supposed to be neutral. It is very normal for newspapers to back candidates. The editorial board for most elections goes through every single solitary candidate and does their endorsements. Los Angeles Times was ready to endorse Harris, and the owner, who's from South Africa and buddies with Elon Musk, stepped in and said, "No, you're not going to endorse anybody." And a good chunk of the editorial board resigned in protest, being like, "Fuck you, dude. I'm not working for you." And they lost a bunch of subscribers. Jeff Bezos, he had been, let the paper do its thing. And the paper editorial board is going through it, and they're about to endorse Harris. And he stepped in at the last minute and said, no, we're not going to endorse anybody. Because he had had a meeting with Trump, and that Trump said, hey, if you endorse Harris and I become president, your space company isn't getting any contracts. Which is pretty crazy to think about, because during the Trump years, those 4 years Trump was president, Bezos got no federal contracts. Trump didn't give them to him. He missed out on every single solitary one, and it wasn't until the Biden administration when Blue Origin finally won a federal contract. So Jeff Bezos is fucking himself over here. Absolutely stupid mush brain stuff. If you spend 30 years of your life amassing a $200 billion fortune, right? Why did you do that if you're just going to be such a fucking pussy when the most mealy little doughy piece of shit comes along? Like, I'm sorry, Mr. Trump. I'll do whatever you say. No, you throw your weight around and you make that fucker scared of you. What the hell, Jeff Bezos? Like, what's the point of like going to the gym and getting all yoked and like doing your, Navy SEAL training and having $200 billion if you're just going to be milquetoast fucking pushover? Gross. Ew. Fuck you. That's what I have to say. Have some balls and some dignity, dude. Like, $200 billion and you just don't have any fucking dignity? I mean, look at Elon. Elon's got $200 billion and he's skipping around like a dipshit, right? So, just, ew. Gross. That's what I have to say. And yeah, that probably means I'm never going to get a job at Blue Origin, but you know what? Be better, dude. You got all the money in the world to do whatever the hell you want and bend people to your will if necessary. And here you are just like, oh, please, Mr. Trump. Oh, I want to make sure I get those space contracts. Pussy. That's what I had to say. Okay, so the Washington Post did lose 200,000 subscribers. About 8% of their total subscribers. They lost me as a subscriber last spring when their weird ultra right-wing executive editor came in and told everyone they had to start using AI in their articles. Like, no. I'm not paying for fucking ChatGPT to write the most boring crap in the entire world. I want a human being doing actual investigative journalism, researching, talking to people. I want them to write the paper, not some stupid computer. I know I'm sounding like a Luddite here on my show beaming across the world, but there has to be something said about human beings doing their job. There has to be human input in society, because then you have no society. If we just have engagement farming from bots all day long, then we're no better than Jeff Bezos' mush brain. So, yeah, we challenge people. Do things. Be cool. Be awesome. Do rad shit. That should be the human goal. And we're not doing those things, apparently. Brendan Wells here. Hot Pocket. Oh, I did that wrong. Hot Pocket Rebel invested my life savings in Bed Bath & Beyond, and all I have to show for it is capital loss carryover sigh. how much did you invest? I only did $3,000 because I can only take up to a $3,000 loss. I was like, that's as much as I'm going to do. That's, well, hopefully got a boatload of phantom shares that will get turned into something magical tomorrow. I don't know when day it's going to happen. There's so many hype dates and then nothing ever happens. Just do something. Maui Zaddy. Another Pulte PP Show hype date passed yesterday with no announcement. Well, there was an announcement. Pulte made some sort of weird announcement where he wants to help BBBY investors recover their losses or something. I don't know what he's doing. If I would check into it, because my guess is what Pulte wants to do is, and I have no proof of this, maybe I should just volunteer to do it and see what the contract is. But my guess is that it'll be some sort of contract that says, hey, I'll pay you for the face value of your shares that you lost out on. But if you get them back, I get the rights to them. I have a feeling that is what that contract is going to say. That he's going to somehow undercut people while under the guise of helping them. I could be totally wrong, if I'm pulling out my ass, but I can't think of any other reason why he would do that. Just judging from the contract that he handed out for the Pulte Home shares, like good for one Pulte Home share. I briefly saw that thing and I was like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with this. Plus, Kais was behind it, and that dude's a weirdo. And I don't want to have any dealings with those folks ever again. One trip to Miami and another was like, no, not for me. Justin G, thumbs up the video. Thank you. Huge unit. Best thing about Switzerland? Well, the flag is a big plus. Haha, classic. Microturf. A twofer, please, Houston. Just wondering if there's anything to look forward to in terms of dates. What the heck is BRICS currency, and should I be concerned? Well, as far as dates, I don't know, man. There's going to be, for GME, there is the November swaps expiration date. I'm not sure how many swaps will be expiring in that are left over, but maybe a little natural push, which if the options market is done right, can lead to gamma squeeze, etc. BBBY, I've been coiled and ready for a year now, so let's do this thing. As for what the heck is BRICS currency, so BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China. That's the original BRICS countries, and they were not an official organization. There was an article in The Economist. So we're talking about the two sides of the world. At the time, Brazil was being run by Bolsonaro, who's a Russian sycophant, Nazi weirdo. And they were like, okay, got the United States, NATO, these like Western allied, Taiwan, Japan, Australia, these like Western allied nations. And then you have sort of these authoritarian run, sort of developed, not quite free nations that have sort of their own loosey-goosey economic influences. And then those countries actually got together and were like, let's form a united front. And there's been all sorts of rumor, especially from Russian bots, that they're going to like make their own currency. And no, they're not. They're not going to make their own currency. Like, oh, they're buying up all this gold and they're going to back their currency. They're not making a currency. I can tell you a couple reasons why. One, most of those nations fucking hate each other. So right now the BRICS nations are Russia, China, India, Brazil, right? Brazil, probably the most democratic out of that bunch. They still have lots of corruption problems, etc. They still have poverty issues, huge wealth disparities, whatever. But they're, emerging, up and coming nation. China, totalitarian dictatorship. India, a democracy, but run by a fascist. Modi is a fascist. His party is associated with this fascist paramilitary organization called the RSS, run by the Sangh. Their belief is kill every Muslim in India, make a Hindu nationalist state, and they idolize Hitler. And that is where Modi's coming from. Modi, when he was a governor, encouraged and oversaw a pogrom that killed something like 20,000 Muslims or something ridiculous like that over the course of weeks, and didn't do anything to stop it. He was like, go on, get them. So he's he is an anti-democratic piece of crap. And then you got Russia, which is authoritarian, autocratic dictatorship, and Putin keeps invading everybody. There are subtle things with BRICS, with those who've emerged since then. Pakistan and India hate each other. China and India hate each other. Saudi Arabia and Iran have talked about joining. Saudi Arabia and Iran hate each other. You got North Korea. Everybody hates North Korea. Everybody hates Russia. South Africa has joined in. South Africa, what are you doing? Why would you join them? You have all the gold minerals you could ever want, and all you have to do is actually use that to help your population. You're good to go. Venezuela, another autocratic dictator who's absolutely demoralized and destroyed his entire country, where 25% of the population is left. You're not going to get any of these folks to agree upon a national currency. Matter of fact, you can't even get Pakistan and Russia to agree upon a currency, to the point where Pakistan just made a giant purchase of oil using oranges. They went back to a barter system, right? China isn't going to agree to an international currency because China has restricted their own currency on the international market to ensure that their own billionaires don't sell everything and leave. So, because trust me, every billionaire in China wants the hell out of China, just like every billionaire in Russia wants the hell out of Russia. They'll go back for visits so they can milk the cow and steal what they can, but all their money is sitting in Monaco, in London, in Los Angeles, in Toronto. They don't want to be in Russia, and they don't want their money in Russia. They want their money the hell out of Russia, because Russia sucks. It is a cold, miserable place to live. And the Chinese billionaires want the same thing, because a Chinese billionaire in China can have their entire wealth taken from them any time and then wake up in a prison camp the next day. So these countries are not going to adopt an international currency amongst them. It's just not going to happen. They're too disorganized. They're all of them. You got autocratic dictator, totalitarian dictator, wannabe fascist, Islamist, totalitarian or theocratic dictator, autocratic dictator, corrupt nation. You're not going to get these countries agreeing on anything, because they're all a bunch of sociopaths running them, and that's that. That's just kind of where it is. Off the grid hero super chats. Next bridge, hydrocarbons, Sioux University lands, and XRP XLM gold backed. I have no idea if there's a gold-backed currency for those or not off the grid. I just know they do bank-to-bank transfer protocol. And beyond that, I don't know. I wouldn't trust any gold-backed currency that's crypto, personally. I mean, I can write code for a currency and claim that's gold-backed, sell it at the price of gold now, and then watch it peg to gold, and then just mint as much as I want. How's anyone going to check, right? I set it up overseas. I don't have to, non-extradition country. I don't have to worry about anything. Use a VPN, and a bunch of clowns will jump into the crypto sphere and be like, oh, yeah, this guy's got $1 billion in gold. No, I don't. I just sold $1 billion with those coins, and now I'm just knee-deep in supermodels on my private yacht. That is what any gold-backed currency is going to be, just like the Tether coins. See that US dollar Tether coin is now under DOJ investigations. It's official. They've probably been under investigation for a long time. But I've talked about Tether coin for years, over 3 years, talked about how they don't have the money they claim they have. When the DOJ went looking in May of 2021, they found 3 cents on the dollar in a bank account in the British Virgin Islands. And at the time, no one would admit who was behind US dollar Tether coin, but they had minted something like $80 billion in Tether. $60 billion, I can't remember what it was back then. And around 80% of all Bitcoin transactions were being done using Tether. Since then, a couple of people have emerged being like, oh, I am part of Tether. But they have resisted an actual audit of their finances. What they've done is they've hired firms to do attestations, which means here is the books we claim we have. Will you attest that you've looked at them? And the accounting firm goes, yes, I have seen that you have books, but they have not done an audit or an inventory or even looked deep into what's in the actual accounts. All I've seen is a sheet of paper claiming we have this many bonds, we have this much in a cash account and this much in a market account, and they could have those, but they won't let anybody actually audit them, which tells me they don't have it. And then they mint money out of thin air. They just one day they're like, oh, I'm at $5 billion in Tether, and then Bitcoin price shoots to the roof because $5 billion in Bitcoin just got purchased all at once. Okay, prove that you just got received $5 billion in cash from someone. Show us the transaction. Show us the bank account that money went into. My guess is that the feds are looking at it going, this is just a fraud scheme. These dudes are claiming they're minting all this money. They don't have the cash to back it up. They're buying a bunch of Bitcoin with it and then slowly selling it off, taking that cash, and who knows what they're doing with it. But it's not going into those Tether accounts. So, yeah. False flags. PP has brain rot disease. I think PP's a nice enough dude. I think he just isn't well read in the terms of the American political system and current events. And so he's like, oh, I'm going with Trump because Ryan Cohen is going for Trump. Ryan Cohen is a smart guy. I will give him that. But he is not an educated guy. He never went to college. His ideas and philosophies and foundational ethos have never been challenged by people as smart or smarter than him, right? So he's a billionaire, and he thinks like a billionaire, which is I vote for billionaire, and that's kind of seems to be the entire ethos and backing behind, ooh, Trump. With no consideration for what life is like for people who aren't billionaires under a Trump administration, which is, from the last administration, lots of shit. Millions dead, crashed economy, right? Not knowing where you're going to get your food from. And the only reason it wasn't even worse was because there were actually people in the government actively resisting his decrees and his executive orders, being like, no, this is wrong. I'm not going to do it. And that takes balls. You had opposition in the Senate and the House to try and slow things down to ensure that he couldn't do all the damage he wanted to do. And the damage he did was still so profound and gigantic that we will be facing the repercussions of this for generations. The simple act of firing the pandemic response team from the Security Council and getting rid of the USAID rapid response teams who were stationed all over the world who stopped novel virus outbreaks before they spread has resulted in trillions of dollars in deficit, tens of millions dead around the planet, crashed economies, inflation, just messed up stuff. And it was two simple decisions that saved us a whopping $80 million on the balance sheet. Cost us tens of trillions of dollars and tens of millions of lives. That's the type of bullshit you'll get when you have somebody who's not serious, has no ability to think outside of themselves and to see why certain systems are in place. And that's what you get. So if you want more crap like that, by all means, tick that box for Trump and watch the shit show happen. Because it's going to get worse. They have an actual plan in place. They didn't have a plan in place in 2016 because they didn't think he was going to win. And when he won, they're like, whoa, how do we do things? I mean, Jared Kushner went into the White House asking the Obama people, like, so which ones of you are staying behind to help us out? And they're like, none of us. What? Like, we're all appointees. Fuck you. We're going elsewhere. We're not going to work for you. And so they didn't know that they had to go hire their own, head of communications, press secretary, assistant press secretary, assistant press secretary. They didn't know they had to go get interns and policy people and wonks and czars and all that stuff. They didn't know they had to do it because they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And then it was just a shit show. Every single day was another colossal disaster on a national and international level. I don't know if you guys remember how freaking stressful it was. You wake up, you look at your phone, you'd be like, what? We might go to war with North Korea? What? Like, it was a disaster. And I don't know the short-term memory, the wiping away of, like, how life was, but Jesus Christ, was that a shitty 4 years. Oh my God, it was awful. Why would you want that again? I don't get it. I don't understand. I mean, if you're a billionaire, you don't give a shit because, you know, you're a billionaire class, whatever. But dude, if you are an American citizen, but not a natural born citizen, if you are a naturalized citizen in the United States, you can go find the tweet. Stephen Miller at Stephen M put it out there in September 2023 saying they were going to expand the Office of Denaturalization in 2025 when they take office to strip people of their citizenship so that they then are in a legal status and they can deport them. So if your wife or husband is foreign and a naturalized citizen, they're setting up a program specifically to strip them of their citizenship and deport them. It's not just, oh, we're going to go after the illegal aliens. They're going after everyone, especially if you've got a Hispanic last name. They'll say they want to get rid of birthright citizenship altogether. So if you are someone whose parents came here as immigrants and you were born here, so you're a natural citizen, but they're not, they will strip you of your citizenship and send your ass back to a nation you have no idea what it's like there. Because you aren't from there, you're from here. You come up here, kitten, while I rant and rave. That's our future. We're gonna be scapegoating everyone. And what happens with scapegoating is that you say, "Oh, the immigrants are the problem," and then when you run out of immigrants, you're gonna find somebody else, dude. Don't do whatever you're doing. Don't do that. Come here. Get out of the garbage can. You don't need to be a garbage cat. Or run away. Okay, no, dang it, don't do that. Okay, that goes up there. That goes up there as well. Those aren't garbage. Jesus Christ, is it catastrophe day again? What the hell? You, go over here and hang on monkey butt. You, fat boy, get your butthole off my mouse. Okay. just chaos. You're gonna rant and chaos, and so anyway, like, scapegoating doesn't end. Political enemies within. I'm gonna find everybody who registered Democrat, and I'm gonna put them in a camp and strip of their citizenship. This is the type of stuff that they're talking about, man. It's just, it's gonna be chaos. It's going to be awful. I know there's people that in their mind, like, oh, you know, politics suck, the government sucks, let's just blow up the whole system. Do you know what blowing up the whole system is? Do you know what that does? Blowing up the whole system is years and years of war. It is decimation of the population. It is starvation. It is people put up against the wall, bullets put in their head. It's mass graves. It is millions of refugees. It is awful. Blowing up the system is terrible. And I want you to think about, how prepared are you for blowing up the system? Like, oh, I got my gun arsenal. Okay, so you might be lucky to become a local warlord. Cool. Where's your food going to come from? Are you going to hold people hostage and force them to give you their food with your guns? Right? Are you going to be able to farm fields if hydroelectric dams are blowing up and irrigation systems run dry? Yeah, you're just going to starve. You know, all the guns in the world won't matter shit if there's no irrigation system and no commercial farming in this country. You cannot last a winter if you have not already started you don't have a year stock of food, right? So if all thing goes to shit and we go have some sort of civil war, you're starving to death, most likely. So, come on, what are you doing? So yeah, just take your little fantasies of what it would be like to blow up the system and start fantasizing now what it would be like to be the skeleton in an apocalypse movie. Because that's where most people end up. You're going to be blown to bits. You're going to be starved. You're going to be in a mass grave. That's what happens when you blow up the system. So it's better to try to work within the crappy system we have and improve people's lives. That's the better answer. Yeah, it's not going to be perfect. Yeah, there's corruption. Yeah, there's Citizen United and bullshit and, weird alliances and being like, well, we're angry that Israel's killing Gazans, but like if we don't have them on our side when Iran loses their shit, like there are tangled webs that get weaved, and you just have to buck up and be an adult and acknowledge that yeah, there's some black and white issues, but sometimes you just have shit you got to deal with, and that's the way it is. And that's the adult way of looking at these things. Is Kamala Harris the greatest, person ever run for president? No. But she's competent, and she'll weigh issues, and she'll be pragmatic when she needs to be pragmatic, and she'll put her foot down when she needs to put her foot down, but she's not going to entertain and make Nazis like Stephen Miller head of policy in this country. It's not going to happen. Stephen Miller, quite literally last night, gave a Goebbels speech almost translated word for word. That's what he did. Same mannerisms, same emphasis, same idea. America is for Americans. No. America is for the world. Why do you think we've got the Statue of Liberty? Bring us you're tired, you're weak, you're huddled masses, right? We should be a beacon. The fact that we have as much illegal, undocumented immigration as we have is because we are a beacon. Because people can come here and make something in their life that they can't do back home. And the problem is, a lot of times they can't make the lives they have back home because of international actions we have taken. Because we supported, juntas in Central America. Because we, put sanctions on Venezuela. Because we put sanctions on Cuba. Because we backed warlords in Central Asia. Like, people come here because, well, they have no other option. The refugee crisis, seeking asylum. They've got murderous gangs, warlords, drug lords, despots, you name it, that will kill them, right? So they have to leave. But they're also facing starvation, famine. We consume 25% of the resources here in the United States on Earth, and we're 4% of the population. And we have runaway global warming right now, where droughts, fires, hurricanes, etc., floods are just ravaging the rest of the world that doesn't have the infrastructure to deal with that stuff. And there are catastrophes that happen where our infrastructure can't handle it. Just go look at the Blue Ridge Mountains in North Carolina. We don't have the infrastructure to handle 40 plus inches of rain in a 10-hour period. No one does. And we have literal climate refugees coming out of that who will never be able to rebuild their homes because the mountain that their home was on is gone. It's 20 feet shorter than it was at the start of that rainstorm. So, the solution isn't to demonize these people looking for a better life. It's to figure out how we give them that better life elsewhere. How we uplift their nation. How we don't support some weird genocidal autocrat who, has an enemies list who's just going to tick it off and send his little paramilitaries to go kill him. And then the people who don't want to die flood here. And we go, oh, how dare you, right? And then we're voting for a guy who's going to do exactly that in the United States. If Trump gets elected, Canada, this time around, expect refugees. A refugee crisis of your own. Because that's the closest place people can go for a stable government. And lots of land, we'll go to Canada, right? When they show you who they are, believe them. Trump saying he wishes his generals were like Hitler's generals, that's because he wishes to be Hitler. Vanity Fair in 1990 wrote all about, in an article about the divorce between Ivana and Trump, right? Basically demonstrated that the only book Trump has ever read in his entire life was Adolf Hitler's Our New Order. There's a collection of Hitler speeches. And he kept it in his bedside table, and he would read it and reread it over and over again. This is 1990. Back when it was just sort of tabloid sensation, oh, look at this guy going bankrupt and losing wives, right? And since then, he's disparaged our troops. He's been super racist. He's been absolute bigoted pig, sexist, rapist, grifter, convicted felon, insurrectionist, trying to host a coup. They float the balloon of fascism to you, and each time people in this country go, oh, that doesn't sound so bad. No, it's fucking terrible. When they start scapegoating people, that's when you run into issues. Undocumented immigrants in this country are not this nation's problem. They're not. Without them, you wouldn't have food. 90% of agriculture workers are immigrants, and the majority of those are undocumented, meaning the food doesn't get picked and it doesn't go to the grocery store unless somebody who we hate does it for us. 2/3 of the construction industry are immigrants, and 1/3 of those are undocumented immigrants. Do you think highways get built? Housing complexes? You want housing prices to go down? It's not going to go down if you get rid of all the construction workers and you can't build more homes. That's for sure. You get rid of every undocumented immigrant in this country, we lose $1.7 trillion of our GDP. 1.7 trillion. That's a bigger loss than we had in the '08 financial crisis. You're not going to you don't replace that with anything. That's just money leaving our nation. And what? Where you can't have growth if you're losing 8 to 10% of your entire GDP because you just spent $100 billion a year kicking out all the immigrants. Okay, your entire stock market collapses. Company after company after company goes bankrupt. You lose a lot of really good tacos and good restaurants and just rad people who pull themselves up by their bootstraps to get shit done. That's the people you want in this country. My roommate talks about how, if you ever let the people leave the holler, that's when this nation is going to go downhill. And believe me, they've left the holler. I wrote an article on my geology blog, almost 10 years ago now, 2015. Yeah, it was on the trip where I flipped my truck and almost died. And I was driving through Eastern Oregon, through Burns, Oregon, that area, and you drive through there, and there's just nothing. It is sagebrush. They get 10 inches of rain a year. The winters are -40. The summers are 110 degrees. It is miserable. It takes 90 to 200 acres of land to feed one cow. You can go to a place like Skagit Valley here in Washington, and you can put 2 cows per acre, and there's enough water and grass growing that you could feed those 2 cows on that 1 acre in perpetuity. But you get out to this dry, scrubby, useless basalt that's either hot or freezing cold, and there just isn't enough sustenance. There's not enough water. There's not enough plant life. The cows need hundreds of acres in order to feed themselves each. But you drive past, looks like a bombed out barn. There's a mobile home in front, half finished barn over here. And, people for some reason don't leave. And we used to have in this nation ghost towns forming all the time because the mill would close. People are like, well, cut down all the trees. Time to move on. The mine would play out. Well, can't get any more gold out of there. I guess go on to the next town. Go get some gold. The well would dry up. You would have a ghost town because the industry, the natural resources, whatever, had played out. And that was it. And you get up and you move to the next town. And somehow, in the last 100 years, people stopped leaving. The mine would play out and they would stay and be like, well, maybe someday the mine will reopen. The mine's not reopening. there is no more gold. There is no more copper. There is no more whatever. It is done. They got everything they can get economically out of it, and that's it. There's no more jobs. Or maybe we would get the mill open back up or the factory open back up. Nope. That factory that makes socks in your little town is now making socks in Bangladesh. And the tooling is gone. Everything is gone. There is no expertise left in your town. It is dead. And they sit there and they wait and they hope, and then they get angry and bitter, and they're like, how dare they? It's the fault of the, politicians that this left. No, it's the fault of the capitalists. They saw that they could go to Bangladesh where they can pay someone 4 cents an hour and have no human rights, and that's why they left. And your job isn't coming back. It's just not. So you got to get up and go somewhere else because your tiny little burnt town can only support so many Subway sandwich artists. That's it. And there's 4 of you that can work making sandwiches at the truck stop at the edge of town, and everyone else is going to be jobless because there is nothing else. And these folks, they sit in these little dead towns that have no industry, and they stew and they get angry. And there's some righteous justification for it. The capital system that caused us to end and uproot our lives and whatever. Like, I get it. I get it. But if you just filled your car with a tank of gas and drove 300 miles in any direction, you would probably be in a better situation than where you are right there. And your ancestors had some little shithole village, some pogrom happened, some, murderous Habsburg, I don't know, caused you to be like, well, fuck this shit. I'm going on a ship and I'm going to America, right? And they left everything they know and love. They left the people they love. They left the town they love. They left the schools they love and the parks and the horses and whatever, nature. They left everything they know and love, and they came to America to forge something new, right? And they worked their way across the country from town to town, burg to burg, farm to farm, mine to mine, all the way to the Pacific Ocean. And for some reason, you don't have the same gumption they had to be like, well, this sucks. Time to move on. I don't know why. I don't know why that has left so many. And yet, you have the gall to be pissed off at some, Guatemalan who's leaving a town that's been overrun by a paramilitary drug gang, fleeing for their lives to come here and work a job you would never reduce yourself to, and then picking lettuce, flipping hotel beds, doing dirt jobs, carrying bricks, whatever. And you have the gall to be pissed off at that person who's left everything they know and love to come here and just eke out an existence as like the scrub and slime of society, and you're pissed off at them? Fuck you. Get off your ass and do something, man. Quit bitching. Jesus Christ. It's just makes me so disgusted. And so many Americans, I want to like wash it off of me. It's gross. Be better. Do something with your life. Fucking go to school. Get trained for something. Have a plan. Go somewhere. Do something. That's kind of a long rant. It's a whole bunch of super chats go flying by, and I have not had a chance to read any of them yet. But yeah, that's how I feel about this whole xenophobic bullshit we got going on. I wish we actually supported schools and encouraged smart people and valued knowing stuff rather than fuck around in school, don't read books, love some stupid reality show that isn't real in any way, shape, or form, and just be better, folks. That's what I want. I just kick ass and do rad shit. That's what everyone should have as a goal in their life. And then I'm off. What's up with DJT going up again? Probably crime. Probably my guess. My guess is that there are some billionaires backing Donald Trump. who have made some illegal deals as sort of in-kind campaign contributions, saying, "Hey, I'll buy a bunch of your stock." And I think that's what's going on, because it's still going to have a $700,000 quarter revenue and a $300 million quarter loss, and he's going to get sentenced to prison on November 26th, whether he wins the presidency or not. He may have to report to prison before then, so we'll see, right, kitty cat? Right, little kitten? Goodness gracious, you're just such a little nugget. Don't you dare climb up there. Don't you dare climb up there. Don't you dare, because you're going to turn off the computer again. So you come here. You flip upside down. You do this. Right there. Yeah, you little purr machine. Okay. Low B. John Mulaney has a bit called Horse in a Hospital that is about exactly this. I remember that bit. That's a funny bit. Anyone in the super chats. October surprise, highly racist comments at Trump neo-Nazi rally at Madison Square Garden, and a bunch of American citizens from an island who are also spread out among 7 to 8 swing states. See if that works, Cotton. Yeah, there's 500,000 Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania. It's over 1 million in Florida. There's even like 300,000 of them in Georgia. That's enough to swing an election that, was decided by 11,000 votes in Georgia last time. Well, are you going to be a little kicky machine? Yeah. This cat's got gumption, I can tell you that much. You're just a little lover. Yes, you are. Even though you're a violent little lover. Yeah. Not a moth. Can you explain the NVIDIA scam again? Also, how do the companies that buy the NVIDIA chips make money if they're not selling them? They don't make money. They borrow money. Okay, so AI boom, right? Everyone's doing AI. Everyone wants to invest in AI. AI companies are exploding all over the place. And NVIDIA chips are very powerful, and they can do a lot of particular things that are dedicated towards AI, right? And so the value of the company goes up. But there aren't actually that many companies who have the practical expertise to build the huge computer networks to take advantage of this. But there are a lot of scammers. And there's a lot of, mafia money, drug money, despot money. It needs to go somewhere. And these folks, don't you dare go up there. Yeah, you can fight my foot. And Nobody Special has some great investigative stuff dating back to like last December about this. But you have these groups, they might have some money to play with, right? And they go and they buy some chips. Say, we're starting an AI company. And like buy some chips. And but they don't have software engineers. They don't have the server farms. They don't have any of the stuff to make it happen. But because they're trading public or whatever, people buy the stock. Like, oh, AI is the hot thing. Just like for companies with NFTs or crypto or whatever their names. It's a fad. NVIDIA needs growth, right? They got to sell chips. They got to sell lots of chips in order to have growth and have their stock price go up. So they end up striking these weird deals with these little no-name firms where they say, hey, we will lend you $1 billion. And you must take that $1 billion and buy $1 billion worth of computer chips from us. And here's the kicker. You can then take those $1 billion in chips and you can go to an investment bank or whoever and you can use it as collateral to borrow another $1 billion with which you can come to us, buy $1 billion in chips, store those chips, go back to the investment company. Hey, I got another $1 billion in chips. Want to give me another $1 billion in lending? And they give you another $1 billion in lending. And you send that money to us. And then you buy chips and you stack them and you have lots and lots of chips. The problem is that these chips are getting older. They're aging. They're not going in any computer systems. They're just in boxes being stored and used as collateral like you would gold or oil. And the problem is that it's set up exactly the same way that Enron did their work, where they would lend money to an energy producer or an energy market, and that energy market would go buy futures in the energy market from someone else. Then they would take that energy futures they have and borrow against it and buy more. And they just kept doing that and doing that and doing that and doing that. And the entire system just collapsed one day. And Enron went out of business. This is the same thing, only it appears to be trillions of dollars rather than like $100 billion. And with computer chips rather than with electricity futures. So that's pretty much how the scam is. And NVIDIA is valued probably, probably 10 times more than they should be. Maybe more than that, maybe like 20 times more than they should be. Dude, kitty cat, you are the worst. You are the worst little kitten. I just need to get everything out of your way so you can't mess with it. Go, monkey, go, everyone just go get him. Go get him. Everyone run. There you go. Okay. Actually, that's NVIDIA 1. We did that. Attaining oneness. Kamala Harris also has a group of experts that will be helping her in her... I need new glasses. Kamala Harris also has a group of experts that will be helping her in her administration, not surrounded by sycophant saprophytes like the orange dude. Yeah, it's important to have people have experts, right? Because if you don't have experts surrounding you who have the ability to tell you no, then I don't know where she is. She's somewhere up here. Then all you manage to do is have people tell you, oh, it's a great idea, when it's not. I mean, just look at Twitter. Elon Musk fired every competent person at Twitter. And now, nothing but terrible decisions come out of Twitter. Or X, whatever the fuck he wants to call it, which is a terrible decision. And nobody around him has the balls to tell him no because he fires anybody that tells him no. They're like, that's probably not the best thing to do. And he's like, well, you're fired. And then, boom, there goes 30 years of expertise, right? And so now every single decision that comes from Elon Musk is an absolute terrible decision that costs him billions and wastes everyone's time in life. Like, there wasn't too much tweaking you had to do at Twitter in order to make it profitable. Basically, pay off the debt and you're done. You're profitable. And there wasn't very much debt. There was like $1 billion in debt and interest rates were low and you're locked in, you're fine. Instead, you go take out $13 billion in debt at higher interest rates, and now the interest payments are more than the entire revenue of the company, and you're never going to get in the black. And you allow all the Nazis back on the platform, which then chase away all the advertisers. So all you have are like weird drop shippers from China and scam artists and like sex workers advertising your platform. And your advertising revenue goes down 89% because you had nobody to tell you, like, that's a really dumb idea. I wouldn't do that if I were you, right? And then he's like, well, everyone keeps blocking me, so I'm going to make it so if you block people, they still have to see what you're doing. And so now he's basically getting rid of block on November 15th, which, is going to endanger youth, endanger women, embolden stalkers, right? And then you're going to lose even more advertising revenue. And you're going to lose users. He's hemorrhaging users. He's not gaining users right now. He's hemorrhaging users. So, yeah, that's what a Trump administration is like. I hire the best people. The best people come in, and they go like, yeah, that's not a good idea. And get the fuck out of here. You're fired, right? And so he's got, 60 former appointees who have all endorsed Kamala Harris because they've seen firsthand what it's like trying to, hold his hand and show him crayon drawings of things because he can't be bothered to read the paperwork. I mean, one of the stories that was published I thought was pretty funny was like Kamala Harris is a bad boss, and they talked about these like interns and advisors that were working for Harris, and they would come to her with something. They would give her a binder for some topic, whether it was Supreme Court justice, an issue on immigration, an issue on something else. And then she would read it. She would read the entire thing and have questions. And if you came to her or she brought you forward and she had questions, you could answer them. She was like, what the fuck are you doing here? You're supposed to be the expert. Why do I suddenly know more about this than you? And their complaint was that she read too much. That is not a problem with the Trump administration. He had so many accounts of we had to draw pictures for him, and you couldn't be more than 4 pictures, and you had to have bright colors. And if it took more than 4 pictures to explain something, he would just check out and start texting on his phone. This is someone who has to lead the free world. This is somebody who has to be an expert in multiple fields, let alone just have a cursory knowledge enough to trust an expert when they explain a situation to you. Donald Trump, to this day, still thinks asylum seekers are insane people released from insane asylums. And so at speeches, whenever he talks about asylum seekers, he starts referring to Hannibal Lecter. Because nobody's had the balls to tell him that's not how that works. Two different meanings for asylum, sir. And so he goes out and makes an ass of himself at these rallies over and over and over again because nobody has the stones to tell him that he's wrong. Or, if they do tell him he's wrong, don't have an ability to draw pictures to show him that Hannibal Lecter is not who's being released from prisons. Like, it's just people fleeing a bad situation looking for a better life. That's what an asylum seeker is. They're seeking asylum, not seeking an insane asylum. It boggles the mind. I know people are like, oh, save your political channel, but we are so close to the end of this election. And it can definitely signal a turning point. Yeah, what we have is a status quo, maintain the status quo, or the end of everything as you know it. And, you know, status quo ain't that bad. It really isn't. We've got roofs over our head. We've got electricity. We've got food in the grocery stores. The unknown of blowing up the entire system is empty shelves, no toilet paper, pandemics running wild, concentration camps, you know, allegiances breaking down, balkanization of nations and wars and fighting, terrorist attacks, insurrections, fights in the streets, door to door, you know, manhunts for political dissidents, like food, water, and electricity, scavenging the forest and hoping that the mushroom you just ate isn't going to kill you before the paramilitary wing of the Proud Boys do. Like, doesn't seem like a very hard choice to me in the end. So, do with that what you will. Alex Bishop. But they like the tax havens. Puerto Rico provides just a bunch of hypocrites. Yes, they do. Puerto Rico is garbage. If it wasn't for the Puerto Ricans, you know, Puerto Rico would be heaven. That's kind of what they're saying with this. Puerto Rico has some disadvantages. They do. Like, they don't have as large a tax base because they are in a state. So they don't pay into the federal system. So they get like whatever meager things we throw at them, right? They're an island, so there is already, you know, it's harder to get things in and out of there cheaply because it's an island. If you live in Hawaii, Hawaii is very expensive, right? Puerto Rico is the same way. And Puerto Rico's industries were pretty much wiped out by Hurricane Maria. And we did not give them the help they need. Instead, we privatized their power grid and then didn't rebuild it. So the power's more expensive, it's not available, and last mile connections aren't being made. And so you have people still 7 years later who do not have electricity, who had electricity prior to Hurricane Maria hitting. You know, thousands died. People rotted to death, like under rubble, because we did not send the teams we normally send, where hurricane response was terrible. We got food to the island and then had private contractors be responsible for getting the food and water to people, and then they took the money and never delivered the food and water to people. We had Elon promising to do giant battery banks and solar farms, who didn't do shit. Right? Like, we had problems with medical device shortages, because one of the biggest industries in Puerto Rico was the medical device industry. You know, like the little bags that saline solution comes in, and little vials that you use to draw blood. That stuff was made there, and then the factory got wiped out, and we didn't do anything about it, and so that stuff all of a sudden wasn't available anywhere. That's the type of crap that you get when you have an incompetent leader. So, if Puerto Rico, this is up to them because they're their territory. But if they actually push for statehood, the shitty people in Congress would never have a majority again. Puerto Rico would have so much more money, so much more industry, because they'd actually have a say in a vote. Right now they have a non-voting representative who's like, I'm from Puerto Rico, I can give you a thumbs up that doesn't mean anything. So again, it's up to them whether they want statehood or not, or independence or whatever, just sit in the weird limbo of being a territory. But if they were to become a state, they get 2 senators, probably 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 representatives in the House. They could swing that big old dick around every election and let it be known. Yeah. Attaining oneness, super chats. Super chats tonight. I'm pretty confident Kamala will win. Especially since I am a Washington State election bellwether believer, and the fact that Trump has never done more than 46-47%. Oh, the only way they're going to win is by blowing up the ballot boxes and purging people from voter rolls and committing crimes. That's it. That's the only way they're going to be able to win this one. And don't think they won't do it because they've already said they're going to. But yeah. If you discount the Republican funded kind of suspect polls and you go with the 5-star, unbiased polling agencies, she's ahead in Michigan. She's ahead in Minnesota. She's ahead in Wisconsin. She's ahead in Pennsylvania. She's ahead in Virginia. She's even in North Carolina, Georgia. She could upset in Florida. She's ahead in Arizona, and she's ahead in Nevada, right? That's all you need. Actually, you can go without some of those and still have a pretty healthy win. You can tell the shit polls because the good ones have Kamala ahead in Arizona, and I can't remember the dude who's running for Senate in Arizona, but he's ahead by 5-6 points. The crappy polls have Harris losing by 6-7 points in Arizona. Wait a minute, how can an uncharismatic Senate candidate whose name I can't even remember be ahead by 5 points in Arizona, but the presidential candidate is behind by 7 or 8 points? That doesn't make any sense. That math ain't mathin'. That's not how election years run. No, she's got it. She's got it, and the only way they're going to get it is with shenanigans, which is what Trump was hinting at last night. He was like, Mike Johnson and I got a plan. It's secret, wink, wink. And their plan is to somehow keep the House from voting on the electors on January 6th. But Mike Johnson's not going to be able to do that if he doesn't have the House. And New York is going to sweep all those Republicans that got voted in 2022 out. And the Democrats are going to have the House. It's that simple. And the fact that, candidates like DeLuna is looking like she's down by Port Richey, Tampa down there. She's out. She's done. You got guys like Rick Scott in the Senate who are like, oh no, we have to distance ourselves from this guy who said really racist stuff about Puerto Ricans because that's half my voter base. You get these people are panicking in these swing states over the Puerto Rico comments. And man, you got folks like Bad Bunny, who is one of the most popular musicians in the entire world, got 40 million followers on Twitter, right? Sending out to everyone all this stuff, being like, look, the Puerto Rican diaspora, vote your conscience, dude, because this is what they're saying about you. And you piss off the Haitians, the Haitian immigrants, in the Haitian community, you piss off the Venezuelan community, you piss off the Puerto Rican community, right? You piss off the Mexican community, basically Hispanics in general, maybe except for white Cubans. You can't win nationally Because, face it, this country is becoming less and less white. And I know it scares so many people. Like, oh no, there's gonna be neighborhoods where like people who look exactly like me exist. Oh, boo-hoo. Cool. You've got actually good restaurants in your neighborhood now. Have you ever eaten at a restaurant in Utah? Go to Utah. Go to a restaurant. Just a little diner in some little town in Utah. You know what they're going to have for food? Fucking ham and cheese sandwiches. That's it. You go to a diner in Utah, you're like, well, they have a ham and cheese sandwich. That's their menu. Woo! Yippee! Right? Like, good luck finding fucking salt and pepper for that ham and cheese sandwich. Just people who look different from you are no reason to be scared. They just aren't. They're human beings just like you. They have hopes and dreams and love and loss and goals, and they want to achieve things just like you do. They're human beings just like you. The difference is they don't have to put up, or you don't have to put up with the xenophobia and racism they do. So when they achieve something, it's in spite of what is against them. Whereas when a white dude like me achieves something, I had it easy. That's so easy. I got to go to one of the top public school systems in the entire world. The world was my oyster, right? On just applications, they're like, oh, remember, accepted, right? That's how my life went. I didn't have the adversity to overcome. Nothing in my life was made difficult because of the color of my skin. Right? My brother-in-law, growing up, he grew up in wealthy Mercer Island as like the black guy. His family had a brick thrown through their window with a note that said "N-words go home." I didn't have to grow up with that. I didn't have to worry that someone was going to kill me on my way to school because they didn't like the color of my skin. I didn't have to like achieve over the fact that my neighbors wanted to kill me. That's not something that was something I had to deal with. No, I got to, when I got to become a high schooler, we'd get profiled by the police because there weren't any minorities around here to profile. But once you like became an adult, they stopped paying attention to you anymore, and they'd go to the next little generation of high schoolers who could be possible delinquents. It's just go somewhere, meet people who aren't like you. Be active in exploring your world and trying to get to know and understand people. It's funny. There's somebody told me that, like, you need to get out of Washington, you understand better. I'm like, dude, I've been to 48 of our 50 states. I have mining claims in Washington, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and Nevada. Like, I've lived in New Jersey. I lived in California. I lived in Hawaii. I lived in Austria. I lived in Canada. I've been around the world. I've been to dozens of countries. I've seen and met and ate and befriended and got skeeved out by people all over the world. The folks telling me to travel have never fucking traveled themselves. They haven't. They're scared to leave their town. So I'm scared. I can go from my town. I can go to Las Vegas, and I can go to Orlando. And anything else is, it's scary. Right? I remember in college, I had a friend from Indiana. And she was cool, She was from Indiana. She really hadn't had too many experiences or adventures outside of her family going to Orlando for vacation. But she had the balls to pack up and move to Hawaii to do astronomy because that's the best place in the world to do astronomy. And I remember she was in class, and her parents were flying. Her parents and like a brother and sister family were flying in, and she's like, "Hey, I'm in class. Can you go to the airport and pick them up?" It's like, totally. So I go to take them, get my van, go to the airport, pick them up. And I know they've been flying from Indiana, so they've been flying for like 10 hours. I'm like, "Hey, you guys hungry?" They're like, "Oh, we're starving." It's like, cool. We've got lots of restaurants. We've got a sushi place over here. We got this Hawaiian poke bar over here. We got, Kahlua barbecue pork. We've got Korean food. We got whatever. And they just look horrified. And I'm pointing out drive-ins and local diners and, cool Hawaiian food and all this stuff. And I'm driving around for like 20 minutes. And finally the dad's like, oh, Jack in the Box. And Mom's like, oh, yes, Jack in the Box. Kid's like, oh, Jack in the Box. And these people flew like 10, 11 hours from Indiana to come to Hawaii to eat fucking Jack in the Box. Because, and I talked to her later, she was like, oh yeah, my parents are scared of food for which they haven't seen a commercial for it. So if they have not seen a commercial on TV for a restaurant, they don't trust it. It's too scary. It's, I can't, it didn't come from some factory somewhere. And that is the mentality of a lot of people in the middle of the country. That's why you go to a restaurant in Utah and they got a fucking ham sandwich as basically their menu. It's just, explore those things make you uncomfortable, and you will find things that blow your mind. If I were to strap my friend's parents down into a chair, fucking wrists bound up, feet bound up, mouth forced open, and I take a spoonful of Japanese curry and I shoved it in their mouth, the fireworks that would happen in their brain will probably be something close to an orgasm, because they've never ventured outside that norm in their entire life. And it would cause synapses and connections in their head that they never even knew existed. But no, they're going to go have an E. coli burger at Jack in the Box because they've seen the Jack in the Box commercials, and that's all they can trust. Walt the Man in the Middle, Super Chats. Hey, Lucian. At the current market cap and yearly revenue, how long will it take to make your money back if you buy NVIDIA entirely? They make like $125 billion a year in sales. Something like 30 billion of that is profit. So 100 years? Yeah, about 100 years to get your money back. So something like that. Granted, there's inflation and whatever. So let's say 75 years to get your money back if you bought the entirety of NVIDIA right now. So, yeah. That's a good question though, because there's been talk that they've been overvalued by 10 to 100x overall, and at least 10x for sure. So, but same thing with Trump with DJT stock, right? They make $700,000 a quarter, so about $2.8 million a year, and they're currently valued at $9 billion. So how many years at $300 million a quarter loss, so $1.2 billion a year loss, will it take for you to reach profitability and make your $9 billion back? It's mathematically impossible. You will not do it. There's not enough YouTube viewership in the world for Donald Trump to somehow take the media company and whatever people they send to contracts to make up for that without infusion from Russia. Case in point, Tenet Media. Tenet Media are the ones that back in September got busted by the feds for taking Russian money, like over $10 million in Russian money, and then using that money to pay for content for people like Benny Johnson and Tim Pool and whatnot. And Tim Pool was making $100,000 an episode from Tenet Media for them to basically syndicate his shows and put it on their YouTube channel. They had 2,000 shows and clips with 16 million views. I've got 500 and change shows with almost 5 million views. So basically, it's pretty close to 1-to-1 ratio in number of shows versus viewership on the channel. I make $90 in advertising revenue from YouTube for doing my show. Tim Pool was making $100,000 subsidized by the Russians for his. Same viewership numbers. There's 239 of you in here right now. There would be 239 on Tenet Media during a Tim Pool show. There's no difference. But Tim got a $100,000 show because he had to get that funding from the Russians to spout whatever bullshit they wanted him to spout. The same thing's going to happen with Donald Trump media. They're not going to get the viewership they need, and they're not going to get the advertising revenue without some sort of subsidy from probably a hostile foreign actor. And that's the only way they're going to be able to survive. And that money will dry up someday. DOJ will arrest people. The government there will be like, nah, it's not worth it anymore, and just cut it off, and then poof, there goes the money. So, that's a lot. We had a lot of super chats. I am an hour and 30 minutes behind in the chat as a result. So, woo! Let's see if we can keep going here. Look at that. I did huge unit one. I did that one. I did false flags. I did that one. Peachy Sunday says, let's go Dodgers. The Dodgers ended up winning. I know they're up 4-0 around the time I started. Freddie Freeman, third home run in 3 days. Holy crap. Dodgers score 4-2 final. Dodgers are rolling, man. And way to go. So looks like they're gonna wrap this thing up tomorrow. Nice job, Dodgers. $700 million well spent. KYP says, hi, Houston. Hi, KYP. Charles Bronson, Houston. Can you tell me what they can't stop that is coming? Can't stop, won't stop, GameStop? I don't know what they can't stop that's coming. I can assume that it's going to be some sort of merger acquisition that's going to force a short squeeze on probably multiple tickers, be my guess. Like, if you want to do it right, if I were to plan in my head and think, oh, this is how I'm going to do it. The Bed Bath goes bankrupt. Ryan Cohen bought up the debt. He controls the FILO. He controls the dip. He probably controls, billions worth of unsecured bonds. 2034s, 2044s, etc. You sell off Bye Bye Baby. You sell off Bed Bath & Beyond. You want Bye Bye Baby. That you didn't care about Bed Bath & Beyond, but Bye Bye Baby was what you wanted out of that. And so the debtors sell that off, and you use a proxy called Dream On Me to purchase it. And you purchase it, and you sit on it, and you do some weird structure, and you got BBBY Acquisition Corporation, and no one knows who runs it, and it's all behind, Delaware corporations, and no one, it's private, so no one knows who's behind the whole thing. And then, at some point, you say, all right, since I control all the debt of this company as the main creditor, I'm going to do a credit bid on the shell that is BBBY, also known as DK Butterfly. And you say, you can tell remaining bondholders, like, hey, we can give you equity, we can give you some cash, and that's it. You can agree to it, or you can fuck off. And if they don't agree to it, they can fuck off and they get nothing. And then you, with your giant chunk that you bought of all those bonds, you can do a credit bid and say, I'll forgive all this debt if I get the company. And you get the company. And then you reissue shares to all those shareholders, because now the company is debt-free. The waterfall has been made. Everyone has gotten equity and cash, whatever else. And you can front a bunch of cash to those shareholders as part of the credit bid. Because we know that they're suing shippers who violated contracts. We know they're suing contractors who violate things. That they're suing the board for violations of fiduciary duty to the tune of billions, right? So you can front several $1 billion into the company and say, hey, we're going to pay this now, give equity distributions and cash distributions to the shareholders now. And then when we win that lawsuit, or if we lose the lawsuit, whatever, we'll take that and they'll pay us back. And you then got the new shares going to everybody. So everyone who was short on that company at 7 cents, 10 cents, 12 cents, whatever, now is going to be short on that company at the tune of probably tens of dollars. If cash is coming in, so they get $10, $20, $30, $120, whatever it might be, then the shorts are short on that too, probably to the tune of tens of billions of dollars in payment and lose. And then you do something like, okay, we're going to remerge Baby back into this. And they're a billion-dollar company that have huge red name recognition in the field of baby stuff. So we have a value to this. And we're going to have Teddy will spin off from this. And so we're going to give everybody 1 share of Teddy for every 5 shares of Bed Bath you have. And Teddy's going to be worth $400 a share, $150 a share, whatever it might be. And we're going to give you 1 share of GameStop for every 10 shares you have, valued at $21, whatever it is right now, right? And these are things that are going to have to be provided by the shorts to the probably billions of short shares they have. So now they got to go on the market. They got to go find Teddy shares at some obscene number so they can provide those to all the short shares that they created. They got to go to GameStop. They got to buy a whole bunch of shares, hundreds of millions of them perhaps, in order to make up for that. They're facing, foreclosure basically. They're facing liquidation because they're so short on Bed Bath. Those market makers were selling billions of shares during bankruptcy that did not exist at a pittance. And now they're underwater, hundreds of dollars on each one of those things. So you could squeeze 3 different tickers at the same time so easily. And I really hope they're doing something like that, because why not? Why wouldn't you? Right, Monkey? Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you just fuck everybody over and make it the meanest juggernaut you've ever seen? Diabolical should be the name of the game, because they're out there trying to destroy everything. You may as well destroy them. So, oh, shoot. There's a... Okay. We got a little troll that got deleted here. Fantastic. Fun times. This is Mel Johnson is also here. He got nuked again. We got a lot of folks that nuked here. Houston's drunk, I think, talking about bullshit about Trump. I never had a drink in my life, so this is me sober, buddy. Deal with it. Okay, the chat reset, so I totally lost my spot. Okay, so I did KYP, did Charles Bronson, Hot Bucket, Dodgers gonna sweep the Yankees. Hey, anytime the Yankees lose, I'm for it. I'm like Griffey that way. First Day Productions. What is the midpoint between 0 and infinity? Is there a mathematical formula? The midpoint between 0 and infinity is also infinity. That's the fucked up thing about math. There you go. Jason Blackwell. BP said he's voting Trump. Trump admitted he sexually assaults young girls in the Access Hollywood interview. Philanderer, convicted felon. What does Trump need to do to lose a vote? I mean, I think he's probably lost the votes he's going to lose of Republicans. The Republicans who can't stomach him, they couldn't stomach him 5 years ago. A couple others couldn't stomach him after second round. What it will come down to are the independent, undecided voters. And if they're undecided at this point, it's because they're low information voters, and they don't read. They don't watch the news. They just know that in presidential election, they have to vote and they got to pick one side or the other. And because they don't look deep into any topic or issue, it's very surface level, headline level, whatever happened to pop up most recently in their social media when they go to vote. And that might decide who they're going to vote for when they finally go in and tick that box, pull that lever, push that button, might be. And as George Carlin said, the average IQ is pretty stupid. I'm paraphrasing. The average IQ is like 95 to 100. It's pretty dumb. And yet, half the people you meet are dumber than that. So, just work retail and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It is just mind-blowing. Just folks, I don't know how people leave their house in the morning without accidentally strangling themselves on their shoelaces. I don't get it. I don't know. Somehow they've managed to find a routine, and they get out of the house and they get to work and they do whatever function it is they do and feed themselves, and I just don't know how they get there. And like growing up, I met dumb people growing up. I was like, wow, that guy's kind of dumb, right? But there was some sort of creativity and ingenuity and genius I met in people growing up that I didn't see in adults. And I don't know why that is. I think some people, you meet kids that are like bouncy, hyperactive weirdos, and you can't control them, and they need to be like in a vest until they turn 25 and the frontal lobe finally develops. And like if you went back to like a school reunion or something and you're like, oh, it was the weird kid who was super hyperactive, and they're like a totally put together adult now, they're like, hello, pleased to see you again. It's been a long time. Like, wow, why are you not like shaving your head in the corner and picking your nose and whatever? Because their frontal lobe finally developed. And you also meet people who were like cool, suave, sophisticated, funny, and they were like the cool kid, and they were quarterback or whatever, and you meet them 10, 20 years later at school reunion, and they're like dumb. They're not suave, they're not sophisticated. Like, it seems like when their frontal lobe sealed, it made it impossible for them to ever learn new information again, and they lost all curiosity in this world. And I don't get it. I don't know how you take these like curious, funny, inquisitive, quick-witted children and they become stupid adults. I don't know when that happens or how it happens or what switch flips in their brain where it's become like cows in the field. You ever seen a baby cow? You guys ever like played with a baby cow? Baby cows are like that kitten, wherever the kitten went. They are super curious and they're super playful and they everything's interesting to them. And the adult cows were like grass. You can't get a rise out of them pretty much ever. The baby cows are jumping around playing and they're doing things. And there's some point they grow, and all of a sudden just it turns off, and I must just eat grass. I think it happens with people a lot. Something seals over in their brain, and that's it. You know, the fun times are over. They're now a drone doing drone things, and that's what you got. I don't know if that make any sense. Lobby, why do I keep getting a pop-up to become a member of this channel when I'm already a member? I have no idea how YouTube is doing things or what they do. Each day I go live, there's like a new little doohickey I've got to turn off that pops up here. Like, they have like, it's a great time for an ad. I'm like, no, I'm not doing any. You can do the ads for the people who watch later. Now they have this new thing called Goal, and it pops up, and they're like, make Super Chat more fun with Goal. Set a goal to engage with your audience in a new way. Once you reach your goal, celebrate with your community. Pick a goal. Choose a Super Chat color that counts. Set a timer. Share how you will celebrate. Like, I want to just do my show and do it how I normally do it. I don't need the bells and whistles, man. Just go live after 2 hours, be done. That's all I want in life. And why I can never take this channel to the next level and get a producer. That's probably it. Okay. Luke Alexander. Hey, Houston. Don't know about you, but I'm ready for this BBBY and GME play to be over. It's not even about the money. I'm just tired of seeing RCs and Pulte's mega crap. I'm right there with you. I'm tired of it. They got all the time in the world. They're billionaires jetting around on their private jets already. They can do what they aren't putting off, medical procedures or dental care or, fixing their car or going out to eat. They aren't scrimping and saving to live their life. They get on a G550 and go anywhere in the world they want whenever they want. They can live in Florida and be a CEO of a company in Texas and make that commute just fine. No skin off their back. They got $40K per flight. Doesn't matter. They're rich, right? But these investors, they don't have all the time in the world. We have people that have been in our chat that have died while waiting. They've gone through entire cancer treatments while waiting. They've lost children while waiting. You know, the expenses pile up. And you sit and you sit and you sit and you sit and you get the hype dates and you get the, you know, decipher this little message. And okay, it's cute. It's fun and games. But like, people's lives are on hold with the hope that something's going to come out of this. And twice this summer, you destroyed their ability to become kajillionaires. I'm talking kajillionaires. This thing could have moassed once in May and a second time in June, and it got destroyed both times. For what? Us to read your tweets and go, oh, something's going to happen this weekend. There's some stupid fucking Madison Square Garden Nazi rally. Ooh, cool. Like, shit or get off the pot, man. Not everyone is billionaires like you. They can't sit and wait this thing out forever. They have lives to live. They've got people who depend on them. They got parents who are aging and need help. They've got kids who need surgery and braces, and, you know, they got rent that keeps going up. They've got mortgage payments that are getting higher with interest rates. They've got emergencies that happen. Like, just, it's been over 4 years since you purchased your shares in this company. Make it happen already. You're sitting on billions. Pull the trigger. Be the genius everyone claims you are. Just do it already. Because parading around like a jackass at Trump rallies is not showing people that you're a genius. It's showing that you're an out-of-touch billionaire like every other out-of-touch billionaire. Claiming that you hate shorts and that, you know, you want to change the system and see the regulation, there's all this naked short selling should stop, while supporting the same candidate that Ken Griffin has donated $100 million to, is not putting your money where your mouth is. That's just giving lip service at this point. Do you want stronger regulations? Or you just pretend? You want to just string people along? Like, you're going to have to pull the trigger at this point, because myself and a lot of shareholders, believe me, my DMs blow up every day with, like, what the fuck is he doing? I don't even want to be a part of this company. This is who is going to be leading this company. It is disgusting. It is. I know there's Trumpers in here that hate that I rail on this, but he doesn't care if you live or die. He doesn't. If he can make $1 million off your death, you're dead. That is the mentality that Donald Trump has. He will sell out to the highest bidder whenever, wherever. And there's zero moral conscience about it. Whereas I would gladly give up everything I have if it meant people didn't go to internment camps. I don't give, like, there's not a problem in my life that can be solved with money that would supersede the problems that we would experience under Trump. There isn't. If I could give up everything I have for COVID not to have happened, I would. Gladly. I would gladly have the friends and family I lost to that disease back. I would gladly have the lost years back. But there's people who, they don't think that way. Money is king. Money is cool. Like, yeah, you can do the things you want to do. You don't have to. You can say fuck it to your job and go travel or watch TV all day or whatever it is that's going to float your boat. But blood money isn't cool. And if blood money is what I'm going to have, and then I know that women and minorities in my life and people I don't know are going to be scared for their lives, then it's not worth it to me. It isn't. And you know, part of me wants this to happen before the election so that I have the privilege and opportunity to GTFO out of this country if he's elected again. It's that simple. If for some reason he gets elected again, peace. I will go struggle somewhere else in this world and scrape and get by. Because I know bad things are coming. The Project 2025 describes hell on earth if they get what they want. And they've got all the executive orders written up. They've got all the legislation written up. All you have to do is present to him. He will sign it. And the Supreme Court has given him immunity. So you can't punish him for whatever it is he does while enacting those executive orders. Yeah, it's messed up. Messed up. And you know, take it all in consideration, man. Yeah. Louis posting some stickers, and Monkey Butt has the little Darth Sidious. Okay. Lucas Speed. If nothing happens this week, I'll be very disappointed after RC's tweets, his brother-in-law tweet, Pulte implying things, etc. Especially tired of Pulte hyping. Pulte hyping has been the worst hyping, too. He's like, got a big announcement. It turns out he bought some shares in BuzzFeed. Like, sigh. Low B. What does the election board do for the people whose ballots were burned? Is there a way to figure out whose were lost and let them vote again? I have no idea what they would do in that situation. I know they were desperately trying to stamp out things and possibly try to identify. You can go through the ballot tracking. So if you are in a state where these ballots have been burned, Portland area, Vancouver, Washington area, I forget where it was in Arizona, there should be a ballot tracking. You should be like, hey, did they get my ballot? And if they haven't gotten your ballot in a certain amount of time, you can go get a provisional ballot. And you can fill out the provisional ballot and say, hey, this is my ballot. If mine doesn't turn up, my mail-in ballot, count this. It'll probably be... Huh?
You have to call them.
You have to call them. Yeah. You have to call the election people and say, hey, my ballot has gone missing. I need to fill out a provisional ballot. And you can almost guarantee that provisional ballot will get challenged because everyone is lawyering up like crazy. But you can attest by it. Your signature's there. You can have witnesses. So go do that. If you are in Portland, if you are in Vancouver, if you are in Arizona, and those ballot boxes have been destroyed, by all means, contact your local, probably county auditor, or state election board, and get that provisional ballot filled out. So do that, please. It's too important not to, as the last hour and 45 minutes of ranting has imparted upon you so far. No doubt. Okay, that cow was just cute as fuck. Oh, she is a cutie patootie. She has been coming in the morning and like laying down on my neck. And yesterday she laid down and she took her paw and she would rub it on my beard. And then she switched to other paw and rubbed that on the beard. And she switched to her back paw and rubbed that. And oh, here we go. Your ballot voting materials, your ballot tracker, general 2024, ballot mailed. There it is. So that's the whole tracking thing. Yeah, all accepted. Yeah. So you should have the ballot tracking if you've got a mail-in voting system. So yes, check with your state or county auditor. It should be on there. And then so she did that. She's like just like the feeling of her, like toe beans rubbing on my beard. And then today she came in, she laid on my neck, and then she went and was like suckling on my beard. And then she went and like suckled on my earlobe. It was adorable and messed up. I don't know if she's properly weaned at this point or not, but she was like purring really hard. She's an adorable little thing. And then she and Chalupa just go to war half the day. Maui Zaddy, Trump let his secret slip that he is going to make sure the states don't certify the vote and send it to the House, where the Republicans can try and steal another election. Dems need to be stronger. I think the feds probably know what's up. The Democrats have retainers on, I think, 14,000 lawyers across the country. I wouldn't doubt the fact that Trump is under indictment in multiple jurisdictions, especially for federal crimes, that there are warrants, FISA warrants, etc., and they are monitoring every piece of communication he gets. In one of the cases in Michigan for the illegal electors from 2020, it was revealed that Trump uses a burner phone that has an Egyptian phone number. Because in testimony, this guy who was, I think he was head of the Senate in Michigan or Speaker of the House in Michigan, I can't remember which, testified that he was contracted by a member of the Trump administration to expect a phone call from Trump's burner phone that had something like, unknown Egyptian number, possible scam or something like that. And so to know when he saw that to answer it, it's going to be Donald Trump giving him instructions on what he needs to do in order to nullify the vote in Michigan, etc. So this stuff is out there. Jack Smith is no slouch. I have no doubt that he has attorneys and FBI agents dedicated to monitoring these things. And I think this time around, they're fully aware of what he's capable of and are getting themselves prepared for it. That they've got undercover agents working in white supremacist groups, militia groups, these right-wing weird paramilitary street gangs. Just assume that every single solitary one of these weird far-right groups, that 2 and 3 are either a federal agent or an informant to a federal agent, and that third is the guy that's going to prison. So, I think I talked last time. I don't think most members watch my show, but you're going to prison, is what I'm saying, if you're going to act up on this. They're not going to put up with it. The fact that they've sent, 900 insurrectionists to prison so far, with another 500 or 600 still heading out there, and we are almost 4 years later on this. Like, they are buckled down, and they are determined to make sure that you guys get punished for this crap this time. So, yeah. Lobi, I bet if I sent you one of my old baby wearing wraps, Kitten would lay on you in that entire show. If I swaddle her, I bet she would love being swaddled. John Vasquez, do you think if GME takes off, can that affect the stock market in general? Yes. The amount these folks are short on everything, if they did get a MOAS squeeze, even something close or comparable to January 2021. January 2021, if that thing went $10 higher, it would have knocked over every single institution and hedge fund in existence. The domino effect would have been gigantic. So yeah, they will have to sell all of their blue chips for cash to get enough cash to purchase shares from you, and it will wipe them out, and it will crash the markets. Yes, it will definitely affect the stock market in general. Treetop, do MAGA supporters know that the reason Congress hasn't been able to secure the border funding? $1 trillion in tax cuts for mega corporations, ultra wealthy did that. Yeah, Trump's tax cuts basically caused $1 trillion in deficit every year from when there was December 2017 they were passed, 2018 they went into effect. Also, that's the entire reason why the pandemic response team and the USAID fast reaction teams were fired, was to help pay for those tax cuts. So, and you know what they did with those tax cuts? They did stock buybacks to balloon the market now to a dangerous level. Well, we are at a 2-to-1 Buffett index. Buffett index is at 200, which is mind-boggling. First Day Productions. Do drug ads make money? They remind me of those robocalls pushing fake medical benefits or fake utility benefits. My guess is they use them as tax write-offs. So if you have an in-house marketing firm If you're a big drug company, you probably do. You pay yourself to make commercials and then use it as a giant write-off when you air them. So it's probably a tax scheme in all reality. Peachy Sunday. It seems that little boy Pulte has fallen from grace on Superstonk sub. He used to be worshipped there. I mean, he may, be part of this whole thing. And I know he owns a bunch of bonds and whatnot. My feeling is that he wants back in on the board for Pulte Homes. And that he's using these groups as a way to get on that board. That if he can get these people behind him, he can create some sort of swell for retail investors to go purchase Pulte Home stock, and he can do a proxy fight to get on the board or take the company back over. That's my gut feeling. That's his motive in the end. It'll probably be easier once the real estate market finally collapses and all these banks realize their losses, because then Pulte Home stock will plummet. The retail investors will be flush with cash because that will probably be squeeze territory. And then they can go and buy the deal that would be Pulte Homes at a discount. Because right now the stock's flying high. It's over $100 a share. That does not foment much retail investor action. The stock's at an all-time high while housing starts are minimal and the real estate market has frozen and interest rates are too high. So, no one's going to jump in there right now at 100 whatever bucks and then lose 90% of their investment knowing that a crash is coming. So he'll have better luck when the price gets down to like $10, $12 a share at the bottom of the market than he does right now. That's my feeling. I think that's the whole reason why you were giving away the shares. So they get people it's like a starter egg. Chickens count to 12. That's the reason why you have a dozen eggs. That's why a dozen exists. Is that they lay an egg and they go, okay, I have to lay 11 more and then I'm done. And so you can take an egg away and they're like, shit, there's only 11. I gotta lay one more. Pop. And if they aren't laying an egg, you can take a starter egg. You take this little carved, smooth marble egg, put it in their nest. The chicken is stupid, right? Chicken goes, oh my God, there's an egg. I must lay 11 more eggs. And then they'll start laying eggs. So I think he was using that gifting of the share of stock to all the attendees of his party as a way to get them started as a starter egg. So they go, oh, I got one of these. I should go out and buy more. But at $100+ a share, especially when these folks, they're sitting waiting on GameStop to do something and GameStop's not doing anything. Cash reserves and, the play money, we don't have any excess cash to play with. Vacations are starting to drop off. Bank accounts are running dry. Credit card debts at all-time highs. There just isn't the money right now for people to go out and buy $100 stock on something. We're waiting in limbo. And, maybe he might convince everyone when things rocket ship. They'll be like, you know what? I'm going to go buy Pulte Homes and help out Bill Pulte. But right now, no. It's just not going to happen. We're going to keep, taking our spare change and doing penny stock plays, hoping one of them explodes one of these days, because we don't have you buy a share at $100 and 20 years later it's worth $125. Cool. Right? Your hope is you buy a bajillion shares at 25 cents and 20 years later they're worth several $1,000s a share, like Apple 2001, right? If you had taken the money that an iPod 1 cost, original iPod, and you had invested that in Apple in September 12th, 2001, each one of those, you'd have something like $70,000 right now. That's the type of investment people are hoping for. And it happens. But if Apple was $100 in 2001, you wouldn't have people buying them up like crazy, becoming cajillionaires like they are today. So, Darren Saunders, honestly, if you had $1 bazillion, you might be well served to pay someone to hang around telling you that you were you were being a weenie. Why not? Like, you have a how would you call him? Call him the designated. What's the thing that the game, the pickup artist, negging? So you'd have the guy who just negs you all day long, tells you you're a piece of shit, that you're not that cool, that you're okay looking, but I've seen better, and then you just makes you want to just kick ass. I don't know. Just you see some douchey pickup artist to follow you around all day. First Day Productions. I'm late. Seems investigative reporting has died as a profession. Yes, that's a huge part of why the worst thing Bill Clinton ever did was the 1996 Telecommunications Act. That it allowed a massive consolidation of media in this country that did not exist prior to 1996. And as a result, everyone wants to make everything streamlined, so you lost all local reporting. You basically lost the minor leagues, right? Because people start out their local paper. And if they were kicked ass the local paper, they moved to the regional paper or even go to the national level, right? And they win Pulitzers and do all that stuff. They lost the minor leagues because these local communities, their local papers are gone. They got consolidated. And then, this company that is based in Chicago or whatever owns 1,000 local papers. Like, we'll just lay off all the local people. We're going to close the local publishing house. We will, have AI write some bullshit about the local sports team at the high school, and people will still pay, and still get ads sold, and we'll make money that way. And it turns out it doesn't work that well, because once Craigslist came around, they lost all the advertising revenue in their classified sections, which was most of their revenue. And then if the local 7-year-old wasn't going to get featured in the paper for being student of the week, the parents stopped buying the paper because no one was around to take their picture. And all this local media just died, which means you didn't have the coverage of your local city council races. You didn't have the coverage of the actions of the city manager. And that is how so you lose the checks and balances in your local government, which allows some shady shit to happen, and then those people move up to state legislature, lieutenant governor, U.S. House of Representatives, etc. I would love to see Kamala Harris come out against the 1996 Telecommunications Act and talk about pushing to repeal it. If you don't know what life was like prior to the Telecommunications Act, you could own up to 8 television radio stations nationally. That's it. If you owned a television station in a market, in one market, like say Seattle, you could own one radio station in that market, and that's it. And you could not own a newspaper. You could own 2 television stations, 2 radio stations, or one of each, and that was it. And you could only own up to 8 across the entire country. If you were a newspaper, you could only own X number of newspapers in markets across the country. You couldn't own multiple newspapers in the same market, meaning you couldn't own the newspaper in your town and the town next door. You couldn't do that. You had to have someone else had to own that thing. You could only own X number of billboards. If you owned billboard companies, you couldn't own a newspaper company. If you owned a television station, you couldn't own the newspaper in that town. Like, it forced multiple ownership and competition across the board, and it employed tons of people. And those people needed to do their job, which is investigate, research, report, do journalism. And the point of journalism is to expose abuse. And so if you consolidate all of these newspapers and all of these radio stations and all these, you hear that stupid iHeartRadio crap or Clear Channel, or remember the Sinclair Broadcasting thing where they forced all of their Sinclair broadcasters to read the exact same script, and then I think it was John Oliver put all like 500 of them all reading the exact same thing. It's on this ominous chorus, and then they were forcing like Boris Epstein to do like a thoughtful minute at the end of all these local podcasts, and Boris Epstein is a fucking Russian spy. Right? He's a Russian spy. He's arrested and under indictment for working for the Russians. And he was in local news stations all over the country because Sinclair Broadcasting was forcing Holmes to have him talk to them about some bullshit issue that the Russian government wanted him to talk about, probably. And that's our future with the 1986 Telecommunications Act. You know, we need the fairness. What's fairness in broadcasting thing, Kitty? Equal time. We couldn't have an entertainment company like Fox News do 24 hours a day of biased reporting. They had to give equal time to the opposing view so that people could get exposed to that stuff. But Fox News managed to register themselves as an entertainment company, so they don't have to follow any rules about a news media company. So that's why they can get away with stuff like that until, they get sued by voting machine companies and lose huge. But we're just, these are the little things that you just tweak it and all of a sudden life is better for everyone. Screw the $50 billion media company. Break them up. I don't care. Let Lena Khan smash them with a hammer. I'd be happy about that. There's no reason AT&T should be this umbrella corporation of 10,000 other companies that gobbled up. Make AT&T only cell phones. That's it. You can't do anything else, AT&T. You can do cell phones. You can't do DirecTV. You can't do dish service. You can't do, Turner Broadcasting. You can make phones and you can sell phones, and that's all you're allowed to do. That's it. Done. Same thing with Disney. Same thing with Fox Broadcasting. Same thing with Paramount, CBS, Sony. Like, break them all up. I'm okay with that. Creates a competition. Aaron Heiss, since you said we should do rad shit, Voyager 2 comes to mind. The fact that the damn thing is still beaming useful science back is mind-bendingly awesome. It is. And we had the foresight to think, okay, this thing's going to go in interstellar space. We should try to create, as best we can, a representation of who we are that can last through the ages. So we made that gold record with like hieroglyphs on it and everything, with examples of all of our languages. Like, it's pretty. It's rad shit. That's for sure. Okay. I'm 2 hours in. My voice is killing me. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do a show tomorrow. Remember, Charity Tuesdays actually moved to Thursday for Halloween because I got a little surprise for all of you. So we're gonna do Charity Tuesday on Thursday for Halloween. So Halloween charity show. If I can do a show tomorrow, I will. And I'll try to get one on Wednesday. I still got so much stuff I got to do with this car and to try and get it running. I may have to just take it to a mechanic and have them do it because... So, anyway. I will see you guys later. I'm sorry that I am 2 hours behind in the chat and I did not get to everyone's chats. But you did get some good rants out of me today. And so, I'll see you guys later. Have a great night. And... be well, take care of each other, and the classic. You know, I didn't realize I don't think I went to my. Let me look up. Go to my browser once this show. Weird. Oh well, classic. Boom.